So in our last class, we have seen the basic UI elements in SAP UI5, the text UI element, label UI element, input UI element, button UI element. We have seen the different properties of those UI elements and also how to change those properties by using the getter and setter methods. The getter and setter methods are available for each and every property on every UI element. Okay. So how to change these properties dynamically? So that is what we have seen in our last class. So we have taken an example that is if the end user enter his name, for example, Samir, and if we click on the go button, then the welcome message should change as welcome to this particular name. And we also converted this button into red color. Initially it is in blue color. So both the things we have done by using the getter and setter methods. So let me just show you. So this is the on press go button. So here we read the name by using this dot get UI ID, and then we constructed the welcome message. And then here, so we have taken this text UI element. So we have set the text, and then we have set type that is reject, which is a red color, semantic red color. Okay, all right. So in today's class, we are going to see the next topic, and that is called screen designing. For screen designing, SAP has given various layouts. Now we are going to list out all the layouts that are provided, and we'll start with the very first layout today. Okay, layouts. First of all, what is the definition of layout? The definition of layout is arrangement of UI elements in a specific order. Arrangement of UI elements in a specific order is called layout. Now each layout has its own style, its own concept of arranging the UI elements. Okay, now let me list down the number of layouts that we have in SAP UI5. The first one is the grid layout. The second one is simple form layout. So these two, grid layout and simple form layout, these two are the major screen designing layouts for designing various forms. So both of them are given for designing of the screens. You can use either one of them. Okay, so normally in real time, either we use grid layout or the simple form layout for designing of the forms. You can choose any one of them. For complex screen development, for complex forms development, normally we go with the grid layout. Okay, for simple forms, whatever available in the real time. So as the name suggests, we go with the simple form. But ratio-wise, if you ask me in real time which particular layout is used, so I can definitely say the simple form is used more than the grid layout because very complex screens in the real time is rare. Most of the screens fits into simple form itself. Okay. All right. So after that, we use panel container a lot in the real time, and then we use VBox, so which is a vertical layout, and then we use horizontal box, which is a horizontal layout, and then we use flexbox, so flexible box actually, kind of a flex layout, and then we use icon tab bar, which is a container layout, icon tab bar. So along with the icon tab bar, we also use something called object header layout. Okay. So these are the layouts that we use in the real time. So in today's class, we are going to discuss only the first one, that is grid layout. Okay. and tomorrow means on Monday we'll discuss the second layout, and then the remaining all the layouts we can cover on Tuesday. So the screen designing topic will continue for three parts as three parts. So let us start with our first layout, that is grid layout, in today's class. Yeah, so let's start. So understanding the concept of grid layout is very important, guys, and at the same time this is very easy. So let me explain with a diagram. So let's assume this is your view. Okay, just assume this is your view. Now the concept of grid layout is, the grid layout divide your screen. The grid layout divides your screen into 12 equal parts. Okay, so if this is your screen, the width of the screen is divided into 12 equal parts. So let me write down here, this is the width actually. Now this particular width is divided into 12 equal parts. So let us say this is the center, and each equal part, each part is called as a grid. So I have not yet divided. So let me divide proportionately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let's say this is somewhere at the middle, and this is one part, and this is another part, then this one, and then this one. Yeah. Now let me count all the 12 grids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 equal parts. There is no specific size for each and every part. So each and every part is just called a grid. Remember, there is no specific size. If anybody asks you what is the size of each grid, no. The screen is divided into 12 equal parts, and each equal part is called a grid, and there is no specific size for the grid. Why there is no specific size for the grid? Because if you take a mobile screen width is very small, so even within that small screen also it is divided into 12 equal parts only. If you take a tablet or iPad, the screen is little bigger, but again there also it is divided into 12 equal parts. In a laptop also it is divided into 12 equal parts, even if you take a big monitor. So nowadays there are some passionate coders who take a very big TV and they use that as a monitor and they do coding over there. They feel very, crazy about coding in a big screens. Okay, so even in such a large screens also, the screen is divided into 12 equal parts, and each equal part is called grid. Now what the grid layout will say, hey Mr. Developer, I have divided your screen into 12 equal parts. Now you use the way you want. Now you use these 12 grids the way you want and develop your screen. So that's all. This is the simple concept of grid layout. Now let me show you, by using this simple concept of dividing the screen into 12 grids, how you can design the wide variety of screens. So first of all, the first type of screen is called one label and one input field screen. So which is one field per screen. We call that as one field per screen. So in one field per screen, there will be a label and there will be an input field. That's all. So only one label and input field will be in a single line, and another label, the next of the label and input fields will go line by line. Okay, so let me give an example, then you will understand. So for example, employee ID. So this is the label. Now this particular label will occupy 6 grids. So first 6 grids it will occupy till here, and then the rest of the 6 grids will be occupied by the input field. Got it? So this is a label and this is a input field. So label and input field in a single line. No other label, no other input field will come in that line. Okay? So this is called one field per row design. What is this is called as? One field per row. So that means I can have, let me show you with another label, for example, employee name. Now this is another label. This label will also have its own input field like this. So only one field per row, per line. You can call it as a line, you can call it as a row, but anyway, so there is only one field. Employee ID is one field, and one field means a label and an input field combinedly called as a field. Okay, right. So this is a one field per row design. We can also use the same grid layout concept to design 2 fields per row. 2 fields per row. Now let me show you how the 2 fields per row design looks like. So 2 fields means label input and another label and input. Okay. So here, when there are only a label and an input field, so generally we give 6 grids for the label and 6 grids for the input field. So how the calculation has come, totally there are 12 grids, and one field per row means a label and input field combinedly called as one field. So 12 divided by, there are 2 UI elements, one is label, one is input field. So 12 divided by 2, so which is equal to 6 grids per UI elements. Okay, so label will occupy 6 grids and input field will occupy 6 grids. So 6 plus 6, 12. So the line is over. So it comes to the next line, obviously, like this. Now when you have 2 fields per row, okay, when you want to keep 2 fields per row, so 2 fields means a label input plus another label input. So how many UI elements? 4 UI elements in a single line, correct? So let me maybe put it here. For example, employee designation. So let's say this is employee designation. Now this is a label and a input field till here. Okay, and another label, employee skill, for example, and there is another input field. Right. So here, if you observe, there are 2 fields. One is employee designation, which is one field, and employee skill, another field. So one field means you need to remember label plus input field combination is called one field. Now 1, 2, 3, 4 UI elements in a single line. So how do you divide? So totally you have 12 grids in your hand. So 12 grids divided by 4 UI elements. So that means 3 grids, right? 4 3s are 12. So 12 divided by 4 UI elements, 3 grids for each. 3 grids for each UI element. So that means for employee designation, which is a label, so we will give 3 grids. For this input field also, we give 3 grids. Employee skill also we give 3 grids, and for this input field also we give 3 grids. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So 4 3s are 12. The row is over. It goes to the next line. So here, in case of the first scenario, label and input field. So label is given 6 grids and input field is also given 6 grids. So 6 plus 6, 12. The row is over. It goes to the next line. Okay. So this is called 2 fields per row design. So in a single row, in a single line, there will be 2 fields. So similarly, in real time, there will be scenarios of 3 fields per row. There can be 3 fields per row also. If that is the case, how we need to divide? So totally there are 12 grids. Totally there are 12 grids and 3 fields per row. 3 fields means one field is equal to label and input field. So 3 fields means 3 into 2. Right? 3 into 2 is 6. So 12 divided by 6 UI elements. So each UI element will get 12 divided by 6, which is 2 grids. So you will get 2 grids for each UI element. So that particular design is called as 3 fields per row. And in real time, that is the max. So you will have max to max 3 fields per row. Technically, you can also keep 4 fields per row, 6 fields per row also you can keep, but the screen becomes very congested. Okay. So the maximum number of fields that we use in real time is 3 fields in a single line. Okay. So here 2 fields in a single line is the maximum, I can say. Maximum means mostly used. 2 fields per row is mostly used, but 3 fields per row is very rarely used. Okay. And similarly, 1 field per row is also used extensively. So if the labels are very lengthy, so let's say here the label is very short, but the labels are very lengthy labels, then in that case, we use only 1 field per row. If the labels are short, okay, labels are not that much lengthy, then why to waste the screen? So they will use 2 fields per row or 3 fields per row, like that. Clear? Right. So this is the simple concept of grid layout. Very simple, no confusions. So let me just summarize. The grid layout simply divides the screen into 12 equal parts. Each equal part is called a grid. Okay. So by using the grid layout, we can design 1 field per row, 2 fields per row, 3 fields per row also. Okay. Right. So technically 4 fields per row, 5 fields per row, 6 fields per row are also possible, but nobody does that in the real time because the screen becomes very much congested. Okay, right. So one more thing is, in the last class, whatever the UI elements we have used, all these UI elements belongs to SAP.yum library. And since this library is already defined as a part of the skeleton code, so we have not defined any other library. Remember why this SAP.yum library is already defined as a part of the skeleton code. The reason is 99% of the UI elements that we use belongs to SAP.yum library only. So since 95 to 99% of the UI elements belongs to SAP.yum library, that is the reason SAP has made it as a part of the skeleton code. Okay. Now there will be few UI elements, there will be few layouts that are not part of SAP.yum library. So those which are not part of the SAP.yum library, so these you need to add it as a part of your view code. So why I told this thing now, the reason is grid layout is not part of your SAP.yum library. So remember, SAP, the grid layout belongs to SAP.UI.layout library. Grid layout belongs to SAP.UI.layout library. So we need to define this particular library as a part of the view code and provide one shortcut name for this library and define the grid layout with that shortcut name. Okay, now let us see. Let's write the code, then you will understand. So I'm removing this. So here you need to give a space and write XML-NS stands for XML notation equals to, and we need to give the library name. Okay, whatever the library that you are using. So if your library belongs to SAP.yum library, you don't need to declare it. If your library belongs to some other library which is not SAP.yum library, then you need to declare this. SAP.UI.layout. So this is a library name, SAP.UI.layout. And let's give a shortcut name for this, and that is generally the last word of the library will be given as a shortcut name, or the last word's first letter will be given as a shortcut name. So you can give this entire word as a shortcut name here after the colon, like I can give layout here. So like this I can give XML-NS colon layout, like this I can give, or I can simply give L. So this is a developer's choice, whether you want to give the last words a single letter or you want to give the complete last word. That is totally your choice. Now this particular L, which is basically called as a name or namespace, so this represents your library, SAP.UI.layout library. So while declaring the grid layout, you need to declare it like this. You need to first write the namespace, that is L, to represent this UI element belongs to SAP.UI.layout library. Okay, so L colon grid. L colon grid. Now inside this particular grid layout, you need to write another. Inside this tag, you need to write another tag which is called L colon content. L colon content. Right. A colon grid, and then inside the grid layout we need to write the content indicates the content of the grid layout. So now you can start creating your content. So I'm going to show you our first form, so which is label. So let us design an employee form. This is employee ID, and let's design an input field. Now let me copy the label and input field combination. So let me paste it for 6 times. Okay. Now let me change these labels: employee ID, employee name, employee maybe designation, maybe skill, write the skill, employee maybe email ID, and then the phone number. All right. Okay, so I have taken 6 fields here. So let me do a format document here. I'm just beautifying the code. Formatting document is nothing but beautifying the code. All right. So now we have kept our all UI elements. So I have kept 6 fields actually: employee ID, name, designation, skill, email ID, and phone number. Now let's go with our first type of screen designing, that is one field per row. So in a single line, I just want only one field. So if you want only one field, then you need to assign 6 grids for each UI element. 6 grids for each UI element. That means for label also you need to give 6 grids. For input field also you need to give 6 grids. So 6 plus 6, 12. So since the row is over, it goes to the next line, and so on. So how do you define the 6 grids? So you need to define it here in the grid layout by writing default span. Span means space, means number of grids is called span. Okay. So here we need to specify the number of grids actually. But when you are specifying the number of grids, SAP has given an option, and that is you can also mention the device shortcut name. Okay, so let me just explain here. XL means extra large device. L means large device. All the laptops comes under large devices. All 14-inch devices comes under the large device. Extra large, all 15-inch and above comes under extra large device. M stands for medium device. All the iPads, tablets comes under the medium device. And S stands for the small device. Okay. So, however, SAP has given all these notations, like XL means extra large device, L means large device, M means medium device and all. But there is no need to give to mention the grids for all of them. Okay. You can mention only for large device and medium device. Most of the people mention only large device and medium device. That's all. You don't need to mention about the mobile, or you don't need to mention about your extra large device. They will be automatically taken care. Okay. Even you can mention only the large device, that is also fine. You don't need to mention medium device also, because automatically taken care. Okay. Right. So let me mention the large device 6. So let me mention the medium device iPad also 6 grids. So generally we give the same number of grids in all the devices. Okay, nothing like in tablet we give some other different number. In extra large device we give a different number. No, generally we give the same number of grids in all the devices. Okay, just to example, I am giving 2 devices here. One is large device and another one is medium device. So in both of them I said I just want 6 grids in 6 grids per UI element in all these devices. Okay. Now let us look at the output window. Now this is how the screen is appearing with the very bare minimal code of the grid layout. I know the screen is not looking very nice. The first reason why it is not looking very nice is because of the big gap between the input fields. You can see the input fields are they are having some vertical spacing between the input fields. So how to remove them? In this particular grid tag, there is a property called V spacing, vertical spacing. So by default, the vertical spacing value is 1. You need to make it 0. So once you make this vertical spacing as 0, then you will find no space between the input fields. Yeah, now we can see the space between the input fields is gone. But even though the space has gone, still it is not looking nice. The reason is there is no title for this particular form. The form is touching almost the top header part. So this is the reason why the form is still not looking nice. And even the labels are very short. That is also the reason why it is not looking nice. So generally we go for 1 field per row only when the labels are lengthy. But as of now the labels are short. But anyway, I just want to show you 1 field per row design. So that's why it is like this. Now in real time, to make this particular grid layout more beautiful, what we do is we keep a title for this particular grid layout by using a panel container layout. So panel is a container layout. The panel has a provision to provide a heading, and also it makes the entire form little beautiful. Now let us encapsulate, or let us wrap the grid layout inside this panel, which is a container layout. The container layout are very simplest layouts in entire SAP UI5. So container means it can contain some other layout. That's all. A container layout is a layout which can contain anything. For example, I will call a bottle as a container. Why I am calling that as a container? Because in the bottle I can keep water, I can keep milk, I can keep petrol, I can keep juice, I can keep anything. So that is why it is called a container. So similarly, any container layout in SAP UI5 can contain anything. It can contain some other layout. It can contain directly UI elements. So it can contain anything. So now let us keep this entire grid layout inside a container. So I'm going to keep a panel here. So this is a panel which is a container. Now inside the panel, you keep your entire grid layout. So cut the grid layout, Control X, and keep that inside the panel. Now again, format the document to beautify it. Now here, the panel has a property called header text, using which you can keep some heading like employee details. Now let's have a look at the output window. So now you can see the form is looking much better than the initial output. So the form has a very nice heading, employee details, and the form has labels and input fields, and there is a, you can see the labels are not touching too much to the edge, and even the input field is not occupying too much to the edge. So now the form is looking far better than the first one. So this is how the one field per row design will be developed in real time. So by the way, this particular panel has a expand collapse feature. So there is a property for the panel called expandable, and if you give true for expandable, the panel automatically gets a expand collapse button. Yeah, now we can see the panel got a expand collapse button. This is called expand collapse button. So the moment you expand it, the panel gets expanded. So this is a very good feature in real time. Whenever you are designing multiple such forms, let's take this is employee information, but there might be some other information like salary information, or maybe personal information, family details. So for example, family details. So when you have such multiple forms, these panels are very much used. So whatever the form that you want to fill, you can open, you can expand only that particular form. So for example, I want to fill family details, I will expand only this, I will fill the data. Okay. So once I complete the family details, I can minimize this and I can expand employee details and I can fill this. So like this, these panels are used a lot in the real time because the panels contains these expand collapse behavior. Okay. So initially the panels are automatically collapsed. You can see both the panels are collapsed initially. Okay. But the clients may say, I want first panel to be expanded by default and remaining panels should be in the collapsed state. So how can we do that? You can come here in the panel tag. So there are two panels. Let's come to the first panel, and there is a property called expanded. There is a property called expanded. So you need to give expanded equal to true. Means keep this panel in the expanded state. Means I want this panel to be expanded by default. So that's the meaning of expanded equal to true. Expandable will give you that arrow mark, that expand collapse arrow mark. This expanded makes that particular panel by default expanded. Okay, now let us see. Now you can find the panel is automatically expanded. The first panel automatically got expanded, and the second panel is in a collapsed state. Now, if the end user wants it, he will expand it. Otherwise, he will leave it. Okay, right. The next thing, which is very hard to identify at this moment, is this particular label. If I draw a straight line, this label is aligned with the top edge of the input field. It is aligned with the top edge of the input field, but not with the center of the input field. So what exactly I mean is, let me take a screenshot. So let me put it here, then you will understand. Let me put it here. Yeah. If I draw a straight line here from label, from this particular label, so let me put a red color here. Yeah, so if I draw a straight line, this label touches the top edge of the input field. The label touches the top edge of the input field, but actually the label should touch the middle of the input field like this. So this won't happen in the grid layout. So if you want this kind of behavior, so you need to apply the top margin for the labels. So let me do that. So let's go to our application, and for each and every label, give class equal to SAP UI top tiny margin. So yesterday I introduced you these standard CSS classes. So SAP UI tiny margin top. So if you apply the tiny margin top, automatically the label will come down. So let us copy this class and paste it everywhere. All right. Now let's have a look at the output window. So again, I will take the screenshot and I will draw the line to show you how the labels are aligned. So let me take a screenshot again. Let me put it here. And then let me draw a very straight line. But it's not exactly the straight line, but it should be a little down. Let me do that. Yeah, now this is a straight line. Now you can see this label is exactly touching the center part of the input field. So that is how you need to do it. Okay. Right. So this is not aligned because we also need to keep these. So we need to keep these CSS classes for all these labels as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Now save it. Now even the second form is also aligned properly. Now within just a seconds, I can convert this particular one field per row design into 2 fields per row and also 3 fields per row. How can we change? It is very easy. Just change the number of grids and automatically the screen will convert from 1 field per row design into 2 fields per row design. So in the 2 fields per row design, so this is 2 fields per row, right? So 2 fields means employee designation and employee skill, 2 fields. So in 2 fields, totally 4 UI elements will be there. So label and input field, label and input field. So in this particular design, we give 12 divided by 4 UI elements. So 12 divided by 4 means 3 grids for each UI element. Okay. So we give it like this. So L3 and M3. That's all. So similarly, you can give the same for here, L3, M3. Now you can see the screen will be automatically changed to 2 fields per row design. 2 fields per row. See, automatically it has changed from 1 field per row design into 2 fields per row design. So even the family details also changed in the same way. Now again, just by changing the number, you can convert this particular 2 fields per row design into 3 fields per row design as well. Okay. So 3 fields per row design means totally there are 12 grids. 12 divided by 3 fields. 1 field means label and input field. 3 fields means 3 into 2. 3 into 2 means 6 UI elements per row. So 12 divided by 6 UI elements per row, that means each UI element will get 2 grids. See, always remember the equation. 1 field means label and an input field combination. We call that as 1 field. Okay, so 1 field means 2 UI elements, label and input field. So I said 3 fields per row. 3 fields means 3 into 2, 6 UI elements, because 1 field is 2 UI elements. So 3 fields means 3 into 2, 6 UI elements. So 12 grids divided by 6 UI elements equal to 2 grids per each UI element. Okay, so you need to simply come here and change this L3 and M3 to L2 M2. That's all. So come here, L2 M2. Save it and automatically the screen get refreshed. So this is the maximum number of fields that you keep in real time. So beyond this, none of the client has asked till now. Okay, so all the maximum screens that you will get is, this is as a final threshold. If you still technically you can keep still further more, but nobody will ask. 100% I am giving the guarantee, nobody will ask, because the screen becomes very much congested. And even beyond that, the screen does not look nice as well. Okay, this is the last and final design. Got it? So this is how the grid layout will work. So we'll continue the layouts topic in tomorrow's class, that is on Monday. Tomorrow means the next class is on Monday. If you have any questions in this particular topic, you can ask. So this is the concept of the grid layout.
Rizwan, you hear me?
Yeah.
I need the accept for the the meeting from Wednesday, because Wednesday I am traveling, and I want to access the video.
See, I have shared all the videos, right? What is your email ID? Tell me what is your email.
Farid Idrisi 001. That is not right. This is not right. Farid Idrisi 01.
This? I copy and pasted.
No, copy. Please correct. Please correct. 01. Farid Idrisi is correct. 01.
Is it correct?
Right? Yes. Correct.
You can add my email ID. Okay.
Yeah.
My email ID is TAGORE.
No. Type it in the chat window. I will copy and paste. So please type it here. So
I will also share my email ID.
There, please put it in the chat window.
One small doubt also I have.
Yeah, Babji.
Yeah, we can add button also, right? Like input to label and input we have mentioned.
Yeah.
I want button also. How we can add? How?
Yeah, you can add it just after this particular input field. If you want to add it, you can keep it after the input field. What we can do is, so if you want to add such buttons, so here itself we can add. Okay, but I will tell you where, normally SAP follows a particular design guidelines, like so all the buttons we will keep in the bottom. Okay, so we call that as a footer. me show you. See, so here normally how the forms will be, either the buttons will be available at the bottom. So this bottom area is called footer. Okay, so this will be introduced maybe in the next coming classes. So let me just show you here. So any buttons, for example, create employee. Now this is a form. So buttons will be either available at the somewhere separately or at the footer. So this place is called footer.